It's kind of funny to think back to Pat Riley's postseason press conference when he was talking about his potential interest in going after an aging star this offseason. And this whole time, we assumed that he was talking about Kevin Durant. But what if this whole time he was talking about DeMar DeRozan, which would be very, very sad. But that might be the case because there has been a lot of rumors swirling recently that maybe the Miami Heat and DeMar DeRozan have mutual interest. Of course, a lot of people are talking about that now, making videos. I've made several videos on DeMar DeRozan in the past. I used to do this whole bit where I broke out the digital chalkboard and talked about how, yes, threes are worth more than twos, but a lot of twos are worth more than threes. But that's back when the Heat had Jimmy Butler and they had a lot of twos. Now we don't have a lot of anything except Terry Rozier bricks. I mean, our offense is absolutely ass. And now DeMar DeRozan is, of course, a lot older. Although he is a very productive player, his numbers last season were basically the same exact averages that he's had for his entire career. He was at 22 points per game with the Sacramento Kings, averaging about 4 assists and 4 rebounds on 48% shooting from the field and 33% shooting from three. Of course, we know that his three-point percentage was never his mantra, but he's always been a relatively efficient player, and I think his game will age very well because he already has that old man game, which is that mid-range game. So he's still a productive player, and his contract, truthfully, isn't terrible. This next season, he will be making $24.7 million and then $25.7 million the year after that at the age of 37 years old. And now, if you look at guys who are getting paid relatively the same amount as him for next season, it's not great when you look at some of the guys like Jaren Jackson Jr. and Mikal Bridges, because DeMar is actually getting paid basically as much as those guys, while they have a much bigger impact on winning. But I mean, Jaren Jackson Jr. is up for a massive contract, and Mikal Bridges actually took a huge pay cut himself. So kind of what I like to look at is all the guys that DeMar is getting paid less than, and that includes guys like Miles Bridges and Nick Claxton, John Collins, Tobias Harris, Terry Rozier. But I do think DeMar DeRozan is probably better than all of those guys. So relatively speaking, his contract is not that bad. Speaking of things that aren't that bad, 44.6% of y'all are subscribed to the channel. I'll take that. I do appreciate that. That being said, if you're not subscribed to the channel, if you're part of that 55.5%, make sure to hit that button for me. I do appreciate the support. Now let's get back into the video. Now, I certainly don't want to act like $25 million is not a lot of money. It's still 16% of your salary cap. But that being said, I would much rather have that money spent on a guy like DeMar DeRozan, who can give you productive value, instead of a guy like Terry Rozier or I guess even Duncan Robinson, who, when he plays well, he's not a bad player, but he just doesn't have the kind of offensive impact that DeMar DeRozan has. So I think most Heat fans would agree that he's a good offensive player, especially in the clutch. We know how many blown leads the Miami Heat had in the fourth quarter this year, or this past year. Meanwhile, DeMar DeRozan was literally 14th in fourth quarter points per game. And if you want to go based off total points in the fourth quarter, DeMar DeRozan was 3rd last year. And that's been a consistent thing that he's done his whole career. He's always been a phenomenal fourth quarter scorer. Last year, we said he was 3rd. The year before that, he was actually 1st overall. And then the year before that, he was once again 3rd, once again in total fourth quarter points. So a lot of that may just be because the Bulls were a mid team. So they were in a lot of close games, meaning the starters played a lot of minutes. And that's the fact. They were mid. And I guess that's part of the problem, right? Because DeMar DeRozan has kind of been the poster child for mid teams for quite a while now. I know we all joke that the Miami Heat are, or I guess we're not really joking because it's true, but we all say that the Miami Heat are kings of the play-in tournaments. Well, DeMar DeRozan is the same. DeMar is definitely a platinum member of the play-in tournament. Whether it was with the Chicago Bulls or the Sacramento Kings, he has always been there. So I think Heat fans pretty much agree on what the knocks of DeMar DeRozan are right now. Of course, he's an older player. He has had a tendency not to show up in the playoffs. And of course, he really can't shoot threes. He doesn't provide a ton of spacing, although I think the whole spacing thing with DeMar is a little bit overrated because he is a good enough shooter where guys don't leave him wide open like he's Ben Simmons. They still do go out to contest him. So I think that part's a little bit overrated, although spacing in general isn't overrated. But the most important flaw of DeMar DeRozan, in my opinion, is that he's not a needle mover. Out of all the DeMar talk going around these last couple of days, I think everybody agrees that, sure, if the Heat make that move for the right price, it's not terrible, but that can't be the Miami Heat's only move this offseason. So that begs the question, what else is there? I put together a couple of trades, and truthfully, I don't like them. And I had trouble finding something I do like. I mean, do the Heat go with this? Do they go get Trae Young and lean into all offense? The Miami Heat get Trae Young and DeMar, send Terry Rozier, Jovic, and 2 second-round picks to the Kings because on that contract, on that age, I'm not giving up a first-round pick for DeMar DeRozan. And then do we go to the Atlanta Hawks, maybe give them Tyler Hero and a couple of first-round picks? Is Trae Young even on the table? We don't know that at this point. But as far as the Miami Heat, I think if you get Trae Young, one, you have to trade Tyler Hero because, of course, that backcourt's not going to work. So who's your 2 guard now, assuming DeMar DeRozan is your 3? Who's your 2 guard? Is that Andrew Wiggins? Well, that spacing wouldn't be great with Wiggins, DeMar, Bam, and Ware, especially the way Wiggins was shooting in the playoffs. I know he has shown that he has been capable of hitting the 3 ball, but he's certainly not known as a floor spacer, so you have some problems there. So let's say you don't even start Wiggins. Let's say you bring him and his $30 million off the bench. Who do you start? Haywood Highsmith shot the ball very well from 3 last year. He can play some defense. Do you want Haywood Highsmith being your starting 2? Probably not. Although I personally prefer him to start at the 2 than the power forward like Spoelstra's been trying for these last couple of years. Just because his wingspan is 7 foot doesn't mean you have to play him at power forward. This is like the 3rd straight video where I ranted about Spo playing small guys at the power forward. Haywood Highsmith is 6'5". He shoots like 40% from 3. He can play the 2. Although that wouldn't be the best option, I'll admit. Who else do you go? Do you re-sign Davion Mitchell? Do you put him at the 2 guard? Do you maybe go after somebody else and with the little money you'd have left over in free agency, you'll just have minimum contracts? Or do you try to find someone else in the trade market, flip your last tradable first-round pick to try to get a really nice 3-and-D 2 guard? Do you maybe put DeMar DeRozan at the 2? Because defensively, that's still pretty bad. If DeMar and Trae Young's your backcourt, I don't really like that either. So I don't know. I mean, if you want to keep Wiggins off the bench, which again, it's paying that much money to a guy to come off the bench would suck, but I don't think I'd like him in the starting lineup with the spacing with DeMar DeRozan. I don't think I would do it. So put Hayward at the 2. I don't care. You got Trae Young, Haywood Highsmith, DeMar DeRozan, Bam Adebayo, Khalil Ware. I mean, maybe that could work, but that just feels ugly to me. I can't explain it, but the vibes are off. It just feels ugly. So what's another option? Do you go after Kevin Durant and just go all in on the old heads? Go all in on the Miami retirement home? The Miami Heat could have a starting lineup of, I don't know, Tyler Hero, DeMar, Kevin Durant, Bam Adebayo, Khalil Ware. It's like, in this case, I don't even know what Durant's trade value is. I had the Suns getting Wiggins in this point with Jovic and 2 first-round picks. Maybe that's a bit of an overpay. I don't know. And then I also had the Kings getting our last first-round pick since we now had to send Jovic to the Suns. So I had the Kings getting Pelle Larsson here too. But, I mean, is that worth it for a lineup of Hero, DeMar, Durant, Bam, and Ware? I don't think so, because that lineup feels more clunky and bad offensively than the previous lineup, where the Heat got Trae Young. I mean, at this point, you might as well go and get Chris Paul. Get Chris Paul. Get DeMar. Get KD. Get Garrett Temple. I know he's still hanging on a thread somewhere in the league. Go get Udonis Haslem out of retirement. Bring back some Heat culture. I don't know. The point is, I just don't really know what the follow-up move is. I suppose you could make DeMar the bench player, but it's like, which, I mean, that would not be terrible, right, in terms of fit. You got a really nice offensive scorer coming off the bench, and just because he's coming off the bench doesn't mean that he can't close games. Of course, you would still want DeMar DeRozan closing games. So now you're doing what? Paying $25 million for a guy to come off the bench? That's the same problem that I just said I had with Wiggins a couple minutes ago. So I like DeMar DeRozan. I do. I think he's a good player. But I'm tired of overpaying all these guys who aren't needle movers, especially for multiple years. Because you're already paying Andrew Wiggins $30+ million for multiple more seasons. And spoiler alert, if you didn't watch this last postseason, he's not a needle mover either. So as much as I like DeMar DeRozan as a person and a player, as of right now, today, I think I'm cool on trading for him, to be honest. I think I'm good. Like, I do not need that in my life. A year ago, when you had Jimmy Butler to be the guy, the 1A, and then you could have had DeMar as his sidekick as his number 2, I would have been cool with that. I would have liked that. But right now, it doesn't make sense to get the Robin first. It doesn't make sense to bring in the help of DeMar DeRozan when you don't have the guy. You don't have that 1A, because you might never get that 1A. So now you're stuck here with DeMar DeRozan making all that money. It just doesn't make sense, and it's kind of ass backwards. So I think the Heat should focus this offseason on whale hunting, and if you can't land your star, then they should just blow it up, honestly, which they won't. They would trade for DeMar DeRozan, and they'll use him to patch this leaking team as the Band-Aid, only making the problem worse or pushing it further down the line, because that's how the Miami Heat operate. And I respect that they don't want to tank, but sometimes you got to take 2 steps backwards to take 3 steps forward. Now, that's not to say that they won't get Durant. I'm still a blind idiot who thinks we have a chance at Giannis. I'll admit it. I like to get my hopes up because that's all we can do at this point, because we never get anybody. But I don't know. We'll revisit this video in like 3 months when they sign DeMar. We know where they're going to do it. Oh, God. Anyways, let me know what y'all think in this video. I think I brought up some pretty good points, so let me know what you think about what I had to say. If you think of any other good pairing the Heat could also trade for to put next to DeMar, let me know down in the comments below, and maybe I'll make a video about that as well. Also, I do want to appreciate or show my appreciation for all the love I've been getting on my draft series. We've talked about a lot of prospects so far, and if you want to learn some more about these upcoming guys that the Heat could potentially draft, make sure to check out those videos too if you have not yet. I'll be coming out with those for the next month until the draft, so I do appreciate your support on that. That being said, I'll see you on the next video. Peace out, everyone.
Look, pull up in your city trying to get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.